So I just decided I'm going to do a series called Mr. P Thoughts. And I'm just going to bring up topics, try to keep it short, and see if anybody cares, right? So I thought I would bring up the topic of God and the origins of the universe. Now, many religious people will point out when they see somebody who claims to be an atheist, whether they're a scientist or not or whatever, and they say, they believe in the Big Bang or whatever, they often get laughed at or scoffed by a person of faith that says, well, then how did this all get here? This is just one big accident? I mean, let's think about this. If I took a Lego set or I took a watch and I put all the pieces into a box and I shook it up for like 1 trillion years, it's never going to have all the pieces come together, okay? So this is a ridiculous argument. And in the New Testament, there's an illustration, I think it's in the book of Hebrews, where it says, if you see a house, that implies that there must be a builder to the house, right? It's very logical. Even the Greek philosopher Aristotle talked about a prime mover for the universe, right? So I think this is a very logical way to kind of initially just think about things. Everything that you see comes from some sort of maker. But now then, if we are making this argument, what I would like to say is that every religious person who is scoffing the atheist and saying, you're so silly for saying something can come from nothing, as complex as this universe is, you really don't believe in that argument. And bear with me, this is why. Who made God? Would God not be more complex than anything that we'd see in the universe? And yet you are not arguing that that complexity of God requires being created. In fact, it is considered a mystery to every person of faith that God always was. And this is kind of like mind-boggling, right? Now, here's my whole point. If an atheist says that they believe that all the material world that the material world perhaps always existed, and through some sort of like mystery, all the right things came together in life as we know it came, that's no less mind-boggling than the idea of a God who is more complex in all this, that simply always existed, right? Because at the end of the day, both arguments don't work within our logic. Everything in our mind associates a beginning to an end, something that starts something. But the scientist that is an atheist and the religious person both have to face this really mind-boggling mystery, which is really origins that have always been, right? Because if something made something, then something had to make that something, and something has to make that something, and we can keep going back and back and back and back, or we stop somewhere. But if we stop somewhere, then where did that come from? And so this is what we're left. So whether an atheist or a believer, same problem. And so I'm not, this is not a discussion about whether God exists or not. It's a discussion about this argument. And what I'm saying is, can something come from nothing? I don't know, you tell me. At the end of the day, my head hurts either way.